Now, what kind of dance do you do? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I do a range of different things. I grew up doing a lot of competition dance, so it's mainly like a jazz kind of pop style. I did a lot of lyrical. In college, they trained us a bit more in ballet structure, so I got a bit of that and some modern dance. Personally, my favorite type of dance is contemporary. I think that's my favorite because it's kind of an open-ended type of dance where a lot of different forms of dance fall under contemporary, and it's really influenced by the music and the emotion. And so I love dance that tells story. I'm not a huge fan performance wise. I like watching it, but not performance wise of doing abstract dance. I like when there is a motive and there's a reason for the movement. So that would be my favorite kind, like contemporary style dance.
How do you put story in that, in the kind of dance that you do? Tell me about that.
Sure, that's a great question. And I saw something recently on Instagram the other day that kind of connected to that. And I forget who was speaking, but they put it so beautifully is that our bodies become a vessel for expression. And I think, especially through dance, there's so many forms of storytelling. And obviously, being a filmmaker as well, I understand the very visual, literal art of storytelling. And then there's also songwriting and there's poetry. And I think dance it kind of combines it all in a way because visually you're seeing a person with a certain expression on their face and that's telling you that maybe there's heartbreak in that movement, and then you're also listening to music often, unless sometimes there's dance which is to no music, but often you're listening to music that also is conveying that story. And then you have this other element of movement where the person not only has a facial expression that's telling you, okay, I know this person is dealing with some kind of pain or heartbreak, but also look at the way their chest is moving in response to that and look at the way their legs are moving. And I think it's dancers have the ability to embody poetry, use music to then express it, and then also take emotion, which is a tidbit of acting, and put that in there all as well. So I think it's a really good middle place for a lot of different forms of storytelling, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So, because now you are actually in the middle of it, you also do music or you do only the dancing? Because I understand that now you have two businesses within the area of, I think one in the side of film or filmmaking, and the other one in the side of dancing. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you produce music. Is that correct?
I don't produce music. We
Uh-huh.
For Crash Content Productions, we do have musicians in the group, and they'll produce music for the content that we create or content for other clients that we're going to be
Uh-huh.
working with. But I don't personally produce music.
All right. But now that you have a good idea of the dance, no, I look at everything we do as tools. That if you know how to write very well, then your ability to write become a tool,
Mm.
so that it become a vessel for you to tell your story. If you are a dancer now, and maybe your body is what you move, then that become a tool for you to tell a story, and this story is coming from your inside, your inner expression, which you are just basically narrate it to people through your body movement. So because you understand these dynamics now, um, and you are working with people who create music, how does that your knowledge influence the kind of music that is going to be produced at the end of the day?
Interesting. I think I'm not sure if it necessarily influences the music directly. I think the music and dance, in a general sense, influence each other. I think rhythmically, we as human beings have so much rhythm that exists in our body that has little to do with music itself, and music is just kind of an extension of what we already have in our bodies. Um, and yeah, I think what you said is pretty accurate, is that when you're a dancer, your body is your tool, that is your instrument, right? So, we have the heartbeat, right? Our heartbeat, it's nobody tells it, nobody plays the heartbeat for it to have rhythm, it just does. And the same thing with the breath. There's always an inhale and an exhale. And these are essential parts of movement because you need the heartbeat, you need the breath to stay energized, to move. And I think even if there's no music, you already have that internal rhythm. And also, if you go as far back to being a baby, we are rhythmic beings. Even in the womb, we can hear sounds through the womb. And I just find that so beautiful because music influenced dance just as much as dance influences music. They kind of go hand in hand, which I think is really cool.
I remember one time, I think I was in a secondary school then. I don't know, you call it high school in US. I'm originally from Nigeria, so at the point we're doing music in school, I was asking, what is music actually? We're asking the teacher to tell us, what does it mean? Of course, we listen to music. Every one of us listen to music in different form of it, different type of music, in different genre and all of it. But what really is music? I think the teacher said something like, music is an organized noise
Mm.
because now inside of it there is a lot of this tick tick ting, do do,
Right, right. I
all of
love
it,
that.
all
That's,
of these are different segments of their own. But
yeah,
now you are going to organize them together to have a rhythm, and so that there is, because there is a pattern in it, you come to like it, you come to enjoy it. Because even in nature, is there are music, no? It's a norm to look at maybe when there is a rainfall, you are listening to it, all these
mhm.
sometimes it look like it stop a little bit, then it start again. Or maybe you are in near your tap where you are brushing your teeth, then you open the tap, maybe the water just drop, tack, tack, that is creating a pattern for you, no? So if you manage to organize all this together, then it become an instrument for you that you are going to use to create a poetry, to explain something,
Yeah.
to tell a story. So this is where I really find it to be very fascinating now. So the other part of it, which is the dancing part of it.
Mhm.
Now you dance to those rhythm, to those pattern. How do you match it up? I mean, how do you make that communication in a way that uh, even though you're not the one that is creating the music, but you just fall in line perfectly. I don't know if you can say anything about that.
That's a good question. And I love everything you said, like about being a little kid and the students asking, like that's such an amazing mindset for a child to be like, what is music? I can't touch it. Like, what is it? I feel it. I know it's here, but what is it? That's such a good question because personally, rhythmically, I find that I know when I'm in the pocket, if that makes sense. I know when my body is moving to a certain tempo. And if there's a beat, a shift in the music, sometimes I shift with it. Sometimes I stay back with the old tempo, but it's often still it still feels right or it still looks right. And I don't know I don't really know logically how to put it into words. And I know that there's a lot of people who study kinesthetic awareness and movement and rhythm and how that connects to music itself. And for me, it's just a practice of deep listening. I find it to be meditation. If I'm able to really listen to the music and even the music of silence, because I think that silence is music in itself, it encourages me to move in a certain way that I can feel the music. And the funny thing is, I've never been extremely musically inclined. I am like infamous for picking up instruments and quitting a week after. I don't know why. I've played like 9 instruments, including the xylophone. Like, I didn't even, I've tried everything. And musically, I never stick with it. And I think it's because maybe it has something to do with the fact that I can't let my body do that listening and do that deep listening and move out of just holding, a flute or a guitar or something. Like I need that physical element to it that I think, when you're playing an instrument, it becomes a little bit restricted because you have to stay with the instrument. So I don't know if that really answers the question, but I don't know exactly how or what rhythmically makes me in it and makes it work, but I can feel it when it's happening.
All
Yeah.
right. If you can feel it, that is what it is.
Yeah.
that
There you go.
that is good. That is good. That is good. You said something that I think is important, no? I don't know if you want to say something about it again.
Mhm.
The sound of that, even the silence have music, no? Then I don't know if that is there is a music title, The Sound of Silence. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
remember. I think that is something like that, though. Of course, many somebody have been thinking about that. Do you want to say anything about that? How do we extrapolate that music in the silence? What does it mean? What do you mean by that?
That's a good question. Because I say it and it's like I know my meaning, I know what it means, like in my experience, but not necessarily how to put it into words. But um, I think even in stillness, so if we take our body, right, if we're still, if we're sitting still, there is still movement, there is still the blood that has to circulate through the body, there's still the breath that has to continue to inhale and exhale, like I mentioned before.